Japo Hare Krishna, Hare Ram, Bhayonitai Go Radheshyam, Japo Hare Krishna, Hare Ram. Jai Mahavira Radharamana ki Jai. Janitai, Jai Gaur, Jai Jai Sri Radheshyam. SRIMAD BHAGAVATAM ki Jai. Sri Vyasadev ki Jai. Shukadev Goswami ki Jai. Shuta Goswami ki Jai. Tvameva mata cha pita tvameva. Tvameva bandhushka sakha tvameva. Tvameva vidyam dravinam tvameva sarvamam deva deva. SRIMAD BHAGAVATAM ki Jai. Uddhava recounts the childish sports of the Lord. Bhagavatam 3.2 verse 1. Sri Sukha continued, thus ask the news related to his beloved Sri Krishna, that great devotee of the Lord. Uddhava was put in mind of his Lord and was too overwhelmed with emotion to utter a word in reply. While engaged in worshipping the Lord in his child's play, even as a boy of 5, Uddhava felt no inclination even to have his breakfast in spite of his mother's call. Having grown gray in his service by flux on time, how could answer Vidura's query regarding his Lord, his thought being fixed on his feet? 4. Completely immersed in the nectar flowing from the lotus-like feet of Sri Krishna and transported with joy through intense devotion, he remained mute for nearly an hour. 5. The hair stood erect all over his body and tears burst forth from his closed eyes. Seeing his overpowered with a flood of affection, Vidura came to know that he had realized the object of his life. 6. Uddhava slowly returned from the divine realm to this mortal world, body consciousness, and weeping his eyes, replied to Vidura in a tone expressing of wonder at the thought of Lord's exploit. 7. Uddhava said, the sun in the shape of Sri Krishna having set, our homes of blighted splendor have been devoured by the python of time. What should I say then about our welfare? 8. Alas, unfortunate is this word, and more so the Yadus who live with Sri Hari, Sri Krishna, and yet could not recognize him, even as the fish did not even identify the moon. 9. The Sattvatas, Yadavas, who could read the mind of others by their facial gestures, were highly intelligent and lived and sport with him at the same place. Yet they account him the abode of all beings, the foremost of the Yadavas. 10. The intellect, however, of a man who has bestowed his heart on Sri Hari, his own self, cannot be misguided by the disrespectful or slanderous words of those, the Yadus and others, who are deluded by the Lord's own Maya, deluding potency of those, Shishupala and others, who harbor animosity against him. 11. Having shown his divine form to men who had practiced no penance, he has now screened it from their view, even though their eyes were not set, and thus robbed them of their very sight, as it were, since they have nothing worth seeing left with them. 12. The form which he had assumed in order to reveal the power of his Yoga Maya, divine energy, which was capable of manifesting such transcendent beauty, and which was so eminently sweet to his pastime in imitation of men, was an object of wonder not only to the world, but even to himself, a perfection as it was of abounding grace. It was a form whose limbs added to the charm even of ornaments. 13. Beholding that form, which was the highest delight of all eyes, at the Rajasuya sacrifice of King Yudhishthira, the son of Dharma, the god of virtue, the inhabitants of all the three worlds thought that the entire workmanship of Brahma in creating this mortal world had been exhausted in fashioning that form. 14. Feeling honored by his love-laden smiles and jokes and sportive glances, which reciprocate their love, the woman of Braj followed him in his excursions to the woods with their eyes and minds, and stood like dolls, leaving their household work half finished. 15. With a mind full of compassion for his gentle forms, Vasudeva and others that were being persecuted by his wild forms, such as Kamsa, the Lord, who is their ruler both of Prakriti and the manifest creation, thought unborn, appear in this world of matter, along with his glorious part manifestation, Balaram, even as fire, which though present everywhere in a latent form, is manifest through wood. 16. That he who is unborn should assume the appearance of being born in the house of Vasudeva and dwell in Braj, as it for fear of the enemy Kamsa, and that he who is possessed of infinite progress should himself flee the city of Mathura, scared as it were by Kalajavan, puzzles me as something irreconcilable with his divinity. 17. My mind is filled with agony as I recall what he said to his parents, Vasudeva and Devaki, bowing at their feet, dear father and mother, being in great dread of Kamsa, we, Balaram and myself, failed to render any service to you, repair our debt to you, therefore be pleased to forgive us. 18. Having inhaled the fragrance of the dust of his lotus feet, what man can ever forget it, remembering that he is the same Lord who removed the earth burden by the mere play of his arched eyebrows, which represent the god of death? 19. You must have seen with your own eyes the consummation, oneness with the Lord, attained by Shishupala, the king of Shedi, who hated Sri Krishna, a consummation which even yogis long to attain through the efficient practice of yoga. Who could bear separation from such a benign Lord? 20. Similarly, such other heroes of this mortal world as were killed in action during the Mahabharata war by the missiles discharged by Arjuna, son of Pritha, while drinking with the cup of their eyes the nectar of Sri Krishna's lotus-like countenance, which ravished all eyes attain to his supreme abode. 21. Himself, the suzerain Lord of all the three worlds, he is equal by none, much less surpassed by anybody, and has all his desires satiated by virtue of his own supremely blissful character. Nay, his very footstool is adored by the eternal guardians of the various spheres with the crests of their diadems while offering their presents tributes to him. Pranams to you who are watching now. 22. Standing before Ugrasena, who sat on his royal throne, he submit, my lord, listen to my prayer, that he should thus behave like a servant, confound us, his slaves, to the utmost degree, dear Vidura. 23. Oh, even that impious woman, Putana, the sister of the demon Baka, who suckled him as a babe at her breast, which was daubed with a most deadly poison, with the intent to kill him, got from him in return the destiny appropriate to a foster mother. Is there anyone so merciful whom we should resort for the protection other than him? 24. I consider even those demons as devotees of the Lord, who had fixed their mind on the Lord of the three worlds, through anger born of animosity, and who beheld on the battlefield Garuda, son of the sage Kasyapa, swooping on them with Lord Vishnu, the wielder of the discus Sudarshan, mounted on his back. 25. In order to bring relief to this earth, the Lord was born of Vasudev and Devaki in the prison house of Kamsa, the chief of the Boyas, in response to the prayer of Brahma, the unborn. 26. Having been removed therefrom to Nanda's brush by his father Vasudev, who was terribly afraid of Kamsa, he lived there with Balaram, his elder brother, for 11 years, concealing his glory from the outside world. 27. In the grove of the bank of the Yamuna, the trees of which were swarmed with warbling birds, the Lord sported in the midst of cowherd boys grazing calves. 28. He showed childlike gestures that were pleasing to the sight of the inhabitants of Braj, sometimes seemed to weep, sometimes appearing to laugh, and sometimes gazing innocently like a lion cub. 39. As he grew a little older, the same Lord took to grazing white bulls and cows, what were embodiment of splendor, and entertained with the music of his flute the cowherd boys that accompanied him. 30. Meanwhile, he dispatched in mere sports all those demons sent by Kamsa, who were skilled in Maya, conjuring tricks, and could assume any form they like, even as a child will smash up its playthings. 31. Having tamed and expelled Kaliya, a leader of serpents, he revived the cows as well as the cowherds that had fallen dead by drinking the poisoned water of the Yamuna, and rendered it possible for them to drink its water, which had now regained its purity. 32. In order to make the best use of the abundant riches in possession of Nanda, as also to carve the pride of Indra, the Lord persuaded him to perform with the help of the best of Brahmanas, a sacrifice in which cows are worshipped. Jai Ho! 33. Blessed Vidura, when Indra, who was enraged and at the interruption of his worship, poured down torrential rains on the land of Brush, the Lord protect the inmates of Brush that were much agitated by holding up Govardhan Hill like a toy umbrella over them, and thus showed his grace to them. Jai Ho! Jai Govinda! 34. Making the most of the evenings, bright with rays of the autumnal moon, he sang in melodious strains and reveled in the midst of a bevy of young women, gracing them by his presence. 34. Thus ends the second discourse in Book 3, consisting of a dialogue between Vidura and Uddhava of the great and glorious Bhagavata Purana, otherwise known as the Paramahamsa Samhita. Tomorrow at the same time we will be immersed in the discourse 3, called A Brief Survey of the Lord's Other Exploits. So we will keep reading the stories of Krishna in Brush, Mathura, so on. Vayo Nitai Gauranga Radheshyam Yapo Hare Krishna Hare Ram Vayo Nitai Gaura Radheshyam Yapo Hare Krishna Hare Ram. Jay Sri Radheshyam.